Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Wight Wonder. I'm Jack and this video is a very special one indeed because I'm currently here at Haven Street on the Isle of Wight Steam Railway, and this weekend we are celebrating 150 years of the Ryde and Newport Railway, the route which the Heritage Line operates to this day. Naturally then, this gala is all about things Isle of Wight, and even the good old British weather has come out to say hello.
The weather though is unlikely to dampen people's spirits, as crews prepare for an atypical timetable, seeing 4 island locomotives boasting a rare split service, running Wootton to Haven Street and Haven Street to Smallbrook in separate operations. This is all to ensure as much action as possible at Haven Street for the many guests and visitors in attendance this weekend. Now, for a heritage line with steam railway in its title, you would naturally expect its main attraction to be a steam engine. But for this gala, things are a little different, as there is a new kid on the block.
Now this is Clive, and Clive is the newest engine here at the steam railway, having only arrived about a month ago, as you may know if you've watched my video on the subject. Yesterday was the official handing over ceremony for the engine, and today it is hauling its very first passenger service on the Isle of Wight.
Clive is a Class 03, one of 2 which once ran in departmental use on the Islands Line in the 1980s and 90s, before returning to the mainland in 1998. Now though, in 2025, it has made its way back to the island, courtesy of father and son team Andy and Dale West, and the engine's co-owner Andy Ashton. 3 gents that I had the pleasure of interviewing back in October when the engine first arrived. They are responsible for the locomotive's impeccable restoration, and have agreed to a 10-year operational contract with the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. 9:30 on the Saturday morning then, and the platform is already chock-a-block with enthusiasts and onlookers, keen to ride on Clive's very first passenger service on the Isle of Wight. And I was lucky enough to hop in the guards compartment for the journey up to Wootton. A swift turnaround at Wootton, and with everyone slightly soggier, we all piled back on the train for the return leg to Haven Street. That then is Clive's very first service complete, and may it be the first of many on the railway. as well as Clive, another original Isle of Wight departmental diesel, is making an uncommon appearance. This of course being resident Class 05 nuclear Fred. This shunter was actually Clive's predecessor in operation, being withdrawn in 1983 and finding its way to the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. Of course, as well as the diesels, two of our resident steam engines are also in service, both looking resplendent in their southern sheen. These two are holding the brunt of the passenger services for the weekend, comprised of two separate rakes of 3 pre-grouping bogie carriages. And speaking of carriages, whilst I wait for the weather to clear, I decided to pay a quick visit to our superb carriage and wagon workshop, to have a quick nosy about at some of the railway's latest projects.
Now, one thing that I think the Isle of Wight Steam Railway do better than any other heritage railway out there is carriage and wagon restoration. I'm here at the moment in the carriage and wagon workshop, and as you can see, work is going on, and all these carriages are pre-grouping. That's the difference, because on this railway there are no Mark 1s, no BR stock, no Southern stock. It is all pre-grouping carriages, and some of these are incredibly old. I mean, this is the original Cowes and Newport Railway carriage, which they saved recently, and it dates to about 1862. Might even date to 1861 according to some of the workers around here. And then you have this one at the back, which is an original Isle of Wight Railway Oldbury coach, bought brand new in 1864. And as you can see, it is now nearing completion, and it will be the second Oldbury carriage restored here at the Isle of Wight Steam Railway, the first being number 10, which was completed for the Peter Snow series, the one that he presented back in 2016.
The work that they do here really is exceptional, and is likely to continue for many years to come, especially judging by the amount of rolling stock under cover awaiting their turn in the restoration queue. As mentioned then, this weekend's event is to celebrate 150 years of the Ryde and Newport Railway, although I will point out with my pedantic hat on that the railway itself didn't actually open until the 20th of December 1875. But I guess there is no harm in celebrating early. The line itself was basically the brainchild of an engineer called George Young, who practically owns the entire railway and a good deal of its stock and locomotives in the early years. As an Isle of Wight located railway, it was somewhat unusual, in that it was actually successful and operated mostly trouble-free. Even its construction, unlike many of the other lines, was relatively quick and unproblematic, with the bill passing in 1872 and the 7-mile-long route being engineered and laid out in a little under 3 years. In 1887, the line became part of the Isle of Wight Central, a company which was basically an amalgamation of 3 railways on the island. The Isle of Wight Central's main hub was at Newport, once the epicentre of rail operation on the island. Sadly though, despite its importance, the island's capital would fall victim to the brutal railway cuts of the 1960s, with the entire section from Cowes to Ryde via Newport closing in February of 1966. However, the station itself played a vital role in the island's preservation movement, as it became the initial base of the Wight Locomotive Society, a group of young ambitious railway fanatics who over the space of 4 years did everything they could to save as much stock as possible from the cutter's torch. This would come to a head in the spring of 1971, when, with the demolition of the site looming, the Society were given mere weeks to flee the condemned station. The result was an event heroically remembered as the Big Move, when the WLS worked tirelessly to transport all their saved rolling stock along the defunct line to Haven Street, where they made base, settled, and the Isle of Wight Steam Railway was formed. The rest, as they say, is history. But as history is kind of what this channel is about, I will make sure to do a deep dive into the fundamentals of this railway's past in a future video. Right now though, I'm back on the train. This time for a quick trip up to the request stop at Ashey.
Now, I haven't done an Ashey update for a while, but work here is still very much progressing, and they've even uncovered a bit more of Platform 1 on that side. The most exciting thing that's happened recently though was the donation of a lever frame from the Bluebell Railway, and this lever frame, when it is restored, will be installed in the western end of the station building where the in-house signal box once sat. And in the long term, this will enable this entire section of line between Haven Street and Smallbrook to be a lot busier, which will come in handy for gala weekends such as this one.
Very exciting work happening here at Ashey then. And if you want more detail on the project, you can always check out a video I did on the subject earlier this year. I will include a link to it at the end of this one. Meanwhile, it's time to flag down the next service to Haven Street, as I have an afternoon date with a diesel and a brake van. To round things off then, I'm hopping on the afternoon brake van special up to Wootton, hauled by Nuclear Fred. Possibly one of the best sounding diesels around. Though of course I am a little biased. And that just about wraps it up for the day, as a pint of scrumpy at the bar is beckoning me. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, then please do consider joining the White Wanderer Club and becoming a member by clicking the join button on the channel page. This helps support the channel enormously and enables you to access a multitude of members only videos, including my model railway project, guided tours of bus routes, and my past and present railway series. Likewise, if you want to contribute towards future videos, you can do via our collection pot, to which I will include a link in the description. As always, a big thank you for watching, and I will see you again next week.